Welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this feature product video, something I've been looking forward to showing you guys is an awesome storage solution coming from Tinkering Paws for Resident Evil, coming from Steamforged Games. Now, if you're familiar with the Resident Evil series that Steamforged Games has put together, they have released Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 2, and now Resident Evil. Now, this one came out some time ago, and actually, if you're looking for gameplay to see this thing in action, I've got you covered there as well. You'll see a playlist in the top right-hand corner. You can check out a showcase on this one, but the point of this video is to show you an insert that can condense down your all-in pledge to something a lot more manageable. Now, most of us solo gamers out there have probably had a pledge arrive at our doorstep. The joy that comes with getting a pledge, the joy that comes with ripping through all the components and checking everything out, and then the horror that comes with actually trying to get everything organized back inside the box in a way that helps you when you actually want to play the game. In most cases, if you're trying to condense things down without a good storage solution, you're typically just going ahead and jamming things in baggies, or maybe just chucking boxes away and basically just piling things with elastic bands inside of a box, which does work to a point until you actually have to open that box up and play the game later, and then you realize the horror that you have actually set yourself up for. Now, with a good storage solution, you can expect a number of things that are going to be beneficial. So in the case of Resident Evil here, these boxes will be condensed down to just this. And as you can see, there's a retro pack up top. If you don't have the retro pack add-on, you don't even need that box up top for the additional cards, because the retro pack essentially doubles all the cards with a retro feel, which gets stored in that separate box. But if you don't have it, you're not going to need it, so you'd only need just the two boxes here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the inside of these boxes. I'll show you exactly how things are organized to help you make an informed decision on it. When you first crack open the box, you're going to see there's some dice vials up there in the top right-hand corner, even space for those to fit in, although you don't have to keep those. You could just keep the dice inside, and that's all you have to do there. There's additional dice space right here in this tray, which comes right out. Again, like I was talking about in terms of setup, really easy to get going when you can just pull a tray straight out of the box and already has all the tokens in situated compartments and ready to go for gameplay. When you get down even further, you have trays which are designed for each of the different tile shapes, keeping things organized. You've got the dials across here, square tokens here for the doors. You've got all the different situations that can go on with doors all across these two columns down here. You've got all of the cards standard size broken out across multiple dividers, which is a huge benefit. Now, just to show you the right-hand side of this insert, I've got myself those two dice files I was talking about, additional add-ons that I purchased and put in here. I've got expansion content currently broken out across these three sections on the side here, so once I actually dig into them further, I'll be able to actually have them housed in these three different sections. For now, they're just staying sealed where they're at, and I've got the base game stuff and a few of the add-ons all merged together in here. We've got a couple extra dividers that I haven't actually had a chance to use fully yet, because again, those will come from these extra expansions as I dig further into them. Each of the compartments on the right-hand side of the box come out individually, and inside of them you have standard size cards and mini cards for the expansion. As I mentioned, once I open these standard size cards, I can actually put them in here sleeved as well, has room for those. Now, the way these trays are designed is, again, to compress things into tight spaces to get as much stuff in as possible, but also keep things organized and usable. So you can see here we've got the tiles, different patterns kind of hugging together like a Tetris style. You got the dials here, the tokens we talked about before, but you'll also see that some trays actually sit on top of other trays. So you just simply lift them out of their housing. You'll see grooves on the edges that actually allow these trays to sit inside themselves and can be just pulled apart like this. And there's more of these tiles underneath. Even better, you have these finger areas where you can actually pull the tiles up to get exactly what you want. Same thing applies when you're talking about the smaller tokens up here. There's a little bit of a space at the very front to let you know exactly what is in each of these trays. Of course, if they were squared off, you wouldn't even know what's in there. So there's all those thought processes into the design to make not only storing things good, but also retrieving them even better. In terms of the dividers, they're really straightforward. They're just looking like this, and they basically sit right inside, and they're large in terms of what is printed on them, so you cannot miss them. You know exactly what needs to go where, and they stay in place extremely well. And of course, in this case, I had them just kind of together and laying down like this. You'll even notice there's room inside the box now for the playmats that came as an additional add-on, all 4 of them. And with the playmats outside the box, there's also the rulebook. You have all the expansion rulebooks all in a pile at the very bottom, including the actual dashboard, which has that holographic look to it, which I absolutely love from Resident Evil 1 at the very bottom, sitting like so. Something else I really enjoy about Tinkering Paws inserts is the fact that all of these things can be stored vertical. That's right, so everything here can actually be closed up and stored in a vertical fashion if you like doing that. There's even designs within it. You can see down here there's a notch on the edge to ensure that the trays that are here cannot slide down to the bottom area here, which again, once these things have been opened up and I go through these expansions, I'll actually have pockets of space to make use of for other things that I want. So they're not only condensing things down to a point where everything's organized, there's also just additional space left for anything else you might have. With the first box out of the way, closed up there in the top right-hand corner, we now go into the Director's Cut Kickstarter Edition box where I've placed all of the inserts and filled them all in with the miniatures. We had the larger miniatures through here, medium-sized miniatures here in this tray. Again, all these trays you can pull straight out and access. So during gameplay, when you need something, you literally just pull it out, put it beside you like so, and if you need a particular monster, you can grab that monster and slide it out of a track system, which I absolutely love. Makes storing them and retrieving them super easy. And again, as long as you've actually stored them in a way that puts them in rows so that you actually have the monsters ready to go and the same ones in the same tracks, you are going to have a blast using this insert. And you've got over here all of the different heroes to use inside of the game and different variants of them, as well as a whole bunch of different zombies and different types of zombies. You've got all, and this is actually one of the coolest parts. I'll pull this out to actually show you this because I think it's really well designed. It gets a ton of the 3D terrain into such a tight area so that you really only need to grab things when you actually do need it. But it's so well designed in terms of getting all this stuff crunched together. Here's an example of where all the terrain has been situated. Love this, especially as the add-on's very cool, but you can see the top tray here actually sits right inside the recessed area of this one, like so. So it's like a tower formation, and it just goes right back inside the insert. Very nice. The other thing that might be cool to know is that this isn't just me throwing all these things in like kind of a teeth format in terms of just where they fit and make sense. There's actually design below it in terms of them slotting into particular slots cut out for those doors. So it's not just a mess in there. They're literally locked into position and they stay there. When you drop that into the cutout slot, it's in there. It has wiggle room to move, so you can actually get your finger in there and grab what you need. But I just thought this design was absolutely awesome to get this much in terms of 3D terrain components into such tight quarters, but also be able to access whichever type of terrain you need at any given time. Inside this box, we have another tray of mini cards. We have a second tray of mini cards off to the side. These are where you have the mini cards from the core game, and I've placed them in these two boxes here. There's also an additional tray that's down here in the bottom right-hand corner, which I haven't filled with anything just yet, but once I start playing through, maybe I'll use that additional one for campaign-based cards that I want to kind of save off to the side or keep kind of in a separate stack. So again, this comes back to what I was talking about earlier on. When you get into campaigns with a game that you've got organized, having that additional space comes in huge with a good insert because it means you have places to put things to save for later when you come back to it. You remember what the heck you were doing rather than just using baggies all over the place. The insert here for the larger miniatures, really well designed. I never have complaints about this. The way they design these things is awesome. So you can actually have large miniatures kind of in tight quarters, and you can see the customization. It's not just that there's a bunch of square boxes happening here. There are angles and there's all kinds of trays of different sizes, and there's really been thought put into how to actually get these to all connect in a way that actually allows for the most tight use of space inside the box possible to give you as much space back to jam more things in. Now, for those that want to see the track system a little bit more up close, you'll see there's even some space for things, but basically how I've organized things here is I have the different types or poses of zombies as much as possible in similar tracks so I know where to grab certain ones when I need them. And again, it's very easy to slide them out or slide them back in. The bases basically just slide into these interlocking slots to make sure that they stay in-house. The only way these things are going to come out are if you actually take the tray and slide it, or tip it, I should say, to the side that's wide open. But other than that, these things are going to stay in place flush with the edges of the box all the way around. So when you close the lid, everything stays flat. Underneath of this is actually some game tiles, which I won't go ahead and show you because basically it's just a larger square game tiles are underneath this one. But everything fits in here. Two main boxes and you have the entire game ready to go. Now let's talk about the final box which you can get with this insert, and it's worth mentioning on their site, if you do have the retro pack, make sure you actually pick up the insert with the option of having the retro pack additional boxes included. And when I say boxes, I mean trays more so, because inside this retro pack box, which comes with a crowdfunding campaign and a whole bunch of cards come inside, you'll get additional card trays to basically house the duplicated cards, because that's what the retro pack is all about, is giving a retro feel to all the cards in the games. You're going to get a bunch of duplicated cards, and so these additional trays only come if you actually pick that option when you're on the website. If you don't, you're just going to get the things you need necessary to get everything else into these boxes, so make sure you pick the right insert for what you have from the crowdfunding campaign. But if you do have the retro pack like I do, this is just a look at what it looks like inside. Now, I haven't organized anything, but what it essentially comes with is a duplication of all the dividers that you saw in the first box, a duplication in terms of the mini cards, everything it needs to be able to sort out everything that's duplicated for the retro pack in here. So then you can simply just come to here when you actually want to use the retro pack, or just say the heck with it, put it on the shelf, nice to have, but I'm going to focus on the ones that came inside the main box. So keep them separate, which I think is a really nice touch. That's going to wrap up my feature product video for the Resident Evil Tinkering Paws insert, which I am a huge fan of. Had a ton of fun actually putting everything inside the box. Cannot wait to dig further into the campaign. As you saw, I've got everything from the core game unwrapped, sleeved, ready to go, and I've also added in all the add-ons, but I haven't dug into the expansion content just yet, but I know that's going to be happening really soon. Thanks to this all being organized, the drive for me to get into a campaign off camera has gone right through the roof, so I cannot wait to dig into this one because I absolutely love this iteration. I have all three Resident Evils, but this one is my favorite so far, and each one gets that much better. So I'm really looking forward to whatever they have in the future with the Resident Evil series, but they also have inserts across all the Resident Evil lines. So even if you're interested in inserts from Resident Evil 3, 2, or 1, they've got you covered across all of that. Again, in my pinned comment video description, I have a 5% off coupon that is standard or static all the time. You can always take advantage of it, but there is one that's a limited one for 10%, which is stackable on top of the 5 to make 15% off for this insert only, for Resident Evil 1 only. That is going to be running from July 3rd to July 18th. So you got a window to decide whether this is for you or not, but I hope this helped you make a decision. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below whether you enjoy the game, whether you think the insert is good, maybe you already have the insert. What are your thoughts overall? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.